Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon. Young and Restless preview. Summer confronts Kyle, while Jack faces off with Victor. And Tracy gets a surprise in Paris. In a Young and Restless preview for the week of July 8 to 12, Victor and Jack's war escalates. Read on for the details and watch the video below. As Tracy and Ashley continued to work on Ashley's health in Paris, Abby joined them. Now they are about to get a big surprise. Tracy opens the apartment door to Danny and Cricket. She exclaims, "Oh my God," as Cricket says, "Bonjour," and they all embrace. Has Danny's tour brought him to Paris, or is there another reason for their visit? After being fired by his own mother from Jabot, and then heading to work for the enemy Victor at Glissade, things really started to escalate. Suspicious of Kyle hanging around Audra again, Summer threatened to revisit their custody agreement. Meanwhile, Diane discovered that Victor had been targeting her husband, reviving their old feud, and even poaching Kyle to work for him. Things escalated when Jack and Diane confronted Kyle, who lashed out and said he didn't need his parents looking out for him, even reminding Diane she left him years ago. Kyle declared he was moving out with Harrison, as he didn't want his son growing up with a backstabbing family like theirs. Next week, Summer fumes at Kyle. "You're moving and you didn't tell me. If you think you're going to take Harrison away, you're delusional." Elsewhere, Victor finds Jack in his office and asks, "What are you doing in here?" Jack fumes, "I warned you. My family is off limits." Be sure to read our Young and Restless spoilers to find out why Nate is grilling Audra, and what's going on between Chelsea and Adam now. In the heart of Genoa City, tensions simmered beneath the polished exteriors and perfectly manicured lawns. The Abbott mansion, usually a haven of calm and elegance, was brimming with unease this particular morning. Summer Newman marched into the living room, her heels clicking against the marble floor with a staccato rhythm that mirrored the turmoil within her. Her eyes, usually sparkling with mischief, were now hard with resolve. Kyle Abbott looked up from the document he was pretending to read, sensing the storm before it even arrived. "Summer," he began, but she cut him off with a glare that could freeze the Sahara. "Don't summer me, Kyle," she snapped. "We need to talk. Now," he sighed, setting aside the pretense of work. "I take it this is about last night?" "Of course it's about last night," she retorted, her voice rising. "How could you let that happen? How could you let Tara manipulate you like that?" Kyle ran a hand through his hair, a gesture that only seemed to infuriate Summer further. "I didn't let her manipulate me. She's Harrison's mother, and she was in trouble. I couldn't just ignore her." Summer's eyes flashed. "And where does that leave us, Kyle? Every time Tara has a problem, you run to her. What about our problems? What about our future?" Kyle stood up, crossing the room to stand before her. He reached out, but she pulled away, the hurt in her eyes cutting deeper than any words. "I love you, Summer. You know that." "Do I?" she whispered, her voice breaking. "Because right now, it feels like you're always going to be torn between two families. And I'm not sure I can live like that." Meanwhile, across town at Newman Enterprises, Jack Abbott was gearing up for a confrontation of his own. Victor Newman had called him to the office, the tone of the invitation making it clear this was no friendly chat. Jack adjusted his tie and squared his shoulders, preparing himself for whatever the infamous Newman patriarch had in store. The receptionist gave Jack a sympathetic smile as he walked past, and Jack couldn't help but wonder how many others had walked this path before him, only to leave with their spirits crushed by Victor's ruthless business tactics. Victor was standing by the window, gazing out over the city when Jack entered. He turned slowly, a calculating smile playing on his lips. "Jack, always a pleasure," he said, though his tone suggested otherwise. "Victor," Jack replied, keeping his voice even. "What's this about?" Victor motioned to the chair opposite his desk. "Take a seat, Jack. I think you know exactly what this is about. Our little competition." Jack sat, meeting Victor's gaze with a steely determination. "If you're talking about the new acquisition, You know as well as I do that Jabbit made the better offer. Victor's smile widened. Better offer or not, Jack, you should know by now that it's never just about the money. It's about power, influence, the legacy we leave behind. Jack leaned forward, matching Victor's intensity. And what legacy are you leaving, Victor? One of broken promises and shattered lives. I'm not interested in playing your games. Jabbit will succeed on its own merits. Victor's eyes narrowed. We'll see about that, Jack. We'll see. As the two titans clashed, another story was unfolding in the romantic streets of Paris. Tracy Abbott had come to the City of Lights for inspiration, hoping to find the spark for her next novel. She wandered through art galleries, sipped coffee at quaint cafes, and soaked in the atmosphere that had inspired so many great writers before her. It was in one such cafe tucked away on a quiet street that Tracy found herself lost in thought, pen poised over her notebook. She didn't notice the man whom had entered until he spoke. Tracy. She looked up, her heart skipping a beat. Standing before her was an old flame, a man she had loved and lost many years ago. Steve. He smiled, a mixture of surprise and delight in his eyes. What are the odds, running into you here of all places? Tracy's mind raced, memories flooding back. I could ask you the same thing. What brings you to Paris? Steve pulled up a chair, and soon they were deep in conversation, reminiscing about old times and catching up on the years that had passed. Tracy felt a warmth she hadn't felt in a long time, a sense of possibility she thought she'd lost forever. Back in Genoa City, the day had taken its toll on everyone. Summer and Kyle's argument had left both feeling raw and uncertain. Jack returned home exhausted from his battle with Victor, but resolute in his commitment to Jabbit. And in Paris, Tracy's heart was lighter, her mind buzzing with new ideas and the thrill of rekindled romance. As night fell, each of them faced their own reflections and doubts. Summer wondered if she could ever fully trust Kyle again. Kyle grappled with the pull between his past and his future. Jack steeled himself for the battles yet to come, and Tracy, for the first time in a long time, felt the stirrings of a new chapter in her life. Genoa City was a place where the past was never far behind, where every decision echoed through the corridors of time, shaping the destinies of those who lived there. And as the city slept, its inhabitants dreamed of what might be, each in their own way, hoping for a brighter tomorrow.